You said that God sounds a lot like a human.
Correct.
As a Christian, what I would say to you is that you sound a lot like God.
Right.
Because you're made in His image. You're made and must grow into His likeness. That is our destiny as beings.
But that's a cool story though, but it's not one that can
Now
be
I'm going to give you evidence.
No, I want proof.
I'm going to give you evidence.
I want proof of God.
I'm going to give you evidence.
Go for it.
Right.
Make me a Christian.
I want to.
Make me a Christian.
With all my heart, bro.
Make
I
me a
want
Christian.
to.
Hey there, Bob.
Long time no see.
I know, I thought I'd drop in on a minute.
Yeah, me too.
You're always here, what are you talking about?
Not always, not always.
You're always here, man.
How are you?
I'm good, man.
Yeah?
I'm good, man.
How's life treating you?
Life is treating me alright.
Good. How's the channel?
Huh?
How's the channel?
The channel's doing well.
Yeah?
Lining up some more interviews and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I can't complain, man. It's going well.
Good.
It's going well.
Good.
I was in Oxford Street, I was like, should I?
Yeah? Okay, brilliant. Brilliant. Any closer to being a Christian? Honestly?
Let me think about that. No.
No.
It's not gonna happen.
Well, I mean, that's pride and hubris speaking. You don't know the future.
No, that's true. You can never say never.
Exactly. So you should
But
not
the way
say
I'm
never
feeling
to this
currently
question.
right now,
It looks unlikely.
it's not happening.
Looks unlikely. No, I get that.
Nah.
I get that.
Really closer to being a non-Christian.
No. No closer.
That's pride and hubris talking right now.
No. I said I'm no closer.
Oh, okay.
I
You
didn't
don't know
say
what's
it
gonna happen
couldn't
though.
No, I don't know.
So
what
it can happen.
Of course it can happen. I don't know my own
Muslims
fate.
will never say that.
I don't know my own fate. My fate is in the hand of God. Any Muslim who says, I'll never be this, I'll never be that, they're very proud. And they place themselves above God. How do they know their fate? How do they know what God has planned for them? Do you know what I'm saying? There's real religion that's based upon the fear of the Lord. You know the scriptures, they say,
The fear, Bob.
the fear of the Lord is the beginning
We
of wisdom.
shouldn't have any fear, Bob. No fear.
This term fear, what do you think it means?
We can go to the dictionary term.
Let's look at it at the biblical term.
No.
It's that kind of fear that your children have of you that is based within a loving context that says that if my dad says this and I do against that, that there may be some kind of discipline involved.
Right.
That's a healthy fear, because the disciplines you lay down as a father is there for your children's
However,
benefit.
Bob, I'm a father, right?
Yeah.
And my son's 7.
Yeah,
When I discipline him, I don't discipline him forever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
of course not.
But your father would discipline you forever and ever and ever and
That
ever.
is
and ever.
not a discipline.
That's not discipline, is
Not
it?
a discipline. When you're talking about hellfire,
That's right.
when you're talking about eternity in hell,
There you go.
that ain't a discipline.
So what is it?
That's a punishment.
Okay.
That's a natural consequence of living your life in rejection to God. If you choose to live your life in rejection to God, God will appeal to you all the way through your life. But if at the end you decide this is not what I want, God will ultimately respect your free will because He gave you that free will, and you live with the consequences of that.
What if I told
And the consequences
what if I
of
told
that
you
are
that?
hellfire.
What if I told you that free will doesn't exist?
Sorry?
What if I told you that in the context of religion, free will doesn't exist?
I have some sympathy to the idea of predestination.
There you go.
However, I'm not totally sold on it. I think the truth lies somewhere in between. Like, I believe that you're free to choose within your choices, but you're not free to choose what choices you're faced with.
Okay.
Like, the world will present you with choices, you don't get to pick them.
Right.
If you end up with cancer, that ain't your choice. But you do have a choice about how you respond to that.
Of course.
So you're free to choose your choices. Sorry, you're free to choose within your choices, but you're not free to choose your
So has
choices.
God predestined you?
As at my position between predestination and free will is, I've tried to summarize it as best as I can. The world will give me choices. I have no control over what choices the world gives me.
But who's giving you? Who's giving those? Who's putting those choices your way?
Ultimately God.
Right.
Ultimately
So
God.
it's predestined.
Yes, but I have free will to choose if I respond X or Y. I have free will to choose if I go left or right.
So God doesn't have a plan then.
No, I think God has a plan. Everything happens within God's wider will. So God's wider.
This is where it gets a bit confusing.
No. Let me clarify it for you. God's wider will is that you grow into His image and become His likeness. But you need to do that as a free moral agent. And that free moral...
Film this, do you mind?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, go on.
You know it's going to be on SOCO Member, right?
Yeah, but I'm going to live stream it and see what's going on.
Alright.
I did not expect this today, it's random, but...
It's fine. Maybe God is reaching out to you. You ever thought about that? Do you maybe... Because, to be honest, I haven't been here for a couple of months.
Yeah.
And I'm not coming back again this month. So I don't think it's a coincidence that me and you have come on the same day, that me and you already have a rapport, and that you have ended up stood next to me today. I think it's because...
So that's not... You don't think that's coincidence?
I don't think that's coincidence.
Okay.
You were presented with choices and you took certain choices, and those certain choices brought you here today. Yeah? So let me be clear about what I mean.
Go on.
So I believe that human beings, our destiny, our reason for existence is to reflect God's image on earth. And we need to do that by becoming, through the means of being a free moral agent, we need to embody God's likeness in ourselves, our character, but we do that freely. So that means that we have to be presented with choices that have real consequences. Because a moral choice that doesn't have a real consequence isn't a real moral choice.
But if we go back to what I said, you say if God's got a plan,
yes,
and He's all-knowing.
That is the... I'm explaining. So there's this wider game that God is playing.
Are we playing a game?
Don't jump onto the phrases.
He's going to win, isn't
Yeah,
he?
he is. But don't jump onto the phrases.
Alright, go on.
Yeah?
Go on.
So God has this wider plan.
Yeah.
This wider plan is that you, through being a free agent, will choose to represent God's image on earth. Right? That's His wider game.
God's wider game is to make you his agent.
Not make you. He wants you to be that. But He wants you to do it freely.
But you can't do it freely.
So He has allowed you to make choices with real consequences.
But you can't do it freely.
Yes, you have free will.
Because from the beginning, if we go back to the beginning, your beginning according to you,
Yeah, Genesis.
when God created everything, He knew the outcome of everything before He even created it.
Yes.
Before He even created it,
Yes.
He knew the outcome.
Yes.
So then it's predestined.
No, there is clearly foreknowledge, but foreknowledge is not foredecision. God knows what choices you will make.
Why?
Why?
Because He created me to do those choices, right?
Because He's God, and there's an energy of the fact that He is the Creator. He knows all probabilities.
Yeah, but He knows all probabilities before anything was created.
Correct.
Right. So He had a decision: create things,
Yes.
knowing what would be the outcome,
Correct.
or not create things. He could have just chilled out. He could have not created anything.
Well, hold on 1 second. Can you act against your nature?
Hang on, let me go somewhere. You're coming somewhere else. I'm saying He chose.
I get what you're saying, but I
He
promise you-
chose
Yeah, go on.
to create something.
Yes.
Yeah. Knowing what would be the outcome of it.
Yes.
So if He created it, knowing its outcome,
Yes.
it's His will, not yours.
So let me address that point directly.
Yeah.
To the statement that you made, he could have just chilled out.
Yeah, could have chilled out.
Creatures, beings, will act according to their nature. You will act according to your nature. I will act according to my nature.
Right.
The children will act according to your nature. Dogs will act according to their nature. God acts according to His nature, according to His essence, according to His being. And His being is love. His being, love, is something that always creates. Yeah? Love is something that always shares. Love is something that pours out. And its energy is something that creates something. Your love for your wife.
So are you telling me that God is bound by his need to create something?
His nature means.
His nature is to
Nature
create.
means that He will create.
Okay.
So God would not act in against His nature.
So hang on, but now, see, this is the thing. So you're now telling me that God has an attribute which is creation.
No, sorry, you misunderstood. His nature is love. Love creates. You love your wife. You created children.
Right.
You love your wife. You built a home. You love your wife. You do nice things for
But
her.
the thing is, I do that
Love?
No, I do that.
Not love.
Hang on. I do that because I have a want, a need, a desire, or requirement to do so.
So it's not love.
No, but it doesn't matter whether it's love. It's because I want to do it. It's because I need to do it. It's because there are all of these things going on inside me that want to do it. That I'm required to do it. It's a feeling inside of me that wants to do that.
Yes.
Right? But hang on. But God is all powerful. You shouldn't be bound by those feelings, bound by those needs and wants and all those desires and requirements.
1 second. Don't mistake the God of the Christians for the God of the Muslims. The God of the Christian theology, not Muslim theology.
Okay, go on.
The defining characteristic of God's nature is that He is love. This is why we say as Christians, Ubi caritas et amor Deo sibi est. Where there is love, there is God.
Right.
Yeah, everyone has experienced my God. Everyone has experienced my God. You have experienced my God.
So God is love.
My God. God is love. That's
and love needs to be shared.
Love always creates. Love always flows out. Love always goes beyond the boundaries of the lover. It can't do anything else. Would it be fair to say that all those needs and all those
God
desires...
sounds really human right now. You know that, right?
Wrong. You are made in the image of God.
No, because the reason why I say that is because God hasn't been proven.
So hold on.
So this is what I'm trying to say. But human beings have been proven. We're here. We can look at all of our attributes, all of the things that we do, all the things that we go through, and say, okay, we do have love, we do have mercy, we do have all of these things. But God has not been proven, but we have, which is why God. I don't do the God created human thing. I do the humans created God thing because it makes more sense.
So let's just deal with this image thing. Because it's important that we are made in the image of God to have an intelligible discourse about God.
Right.
Because if we are made in the image of God, we have a reference point. That reference point allows us to have an approximation upon which language can be meaningful. You see what I'm saying? Right. So an image is not the same as the one whose image it bears. I have a photograph on my driver's license.
Right.
That image looks like me.
Right.
You can look at it and you can see me. But you would never say that the image is the same as me. But the image is exactly. The image is an approximation. Compare this Christian theology and compare it to the folly of Islamic belief that says that man is not made in the image of God and that God is wholly other from man. That means that any language that we use to describe God instantly becomes meaningless because we have no point of reference.
Right, okay.
Now, you said that God sounds a lot like a human.
Correct.
As a Christian, what I would say to you is that you sound a lot like God.
Right, okay.
Because you're made in His image. You're made and must grow into His likeness. That is our destiny as beings.
But that's a cool story though, but it's not one that can
Now
be
I'm
proven,
going to give you evidence.
No, I want proof.
I'm going to give you evidence.
I want proof of God.
I'm going to give you evidence.
Go for it.
Right.
Make me a Christian.
I want to.
Come on, make me a
With
Christian.
all my heart, bro. I
Make me a
want
Christian.
to. Right. Let's deal with what we know, working from what we can agree.
Right.
And build forward. Agreed? Is that fair? Is that fair?
Yeah,
Right. Would you agree that within the human heart there is aspiration towards the perfect? That our hearts desire and reach to something that isn't found physically in the world, but a perfection that lay beyond anything that we have actually ever experienced?
I don't understand that question.
So, for instance, you want to be the best father you can be.
Yes.
You want to be the best show host that you can be.
Yes.
You want to be the best human that you can be.
Yes.
Right, so you're aspiring for perfection.
Yes.
Have you ever encountered a perfect human being?
Never.
Have you ever encountered a perfect father?
Never.
Have you ever encountered a perfect show host?
Never.
Right.
But you know why? Because perfection is subjective.
Right, hold on one second. Hold on one second.
Perfection is subjective.
I would
It's not an
disagree.
objective thing.
I would disagree.
Some people say Angelina Jolie's perfect.
That's beauty. We're not talking about stuff like this. That's beauty.
But what,
I agree, beauty is subjective.
right. But perfection, just perfection,
Perfection.
is subjective.
Well, let's give an example.
Whose version of perfection are we now talking about? What's perfect to Bob
Right.
is not what's perfect to Sarah.
Let's give a real example.
All right, let's go.
Let's give a real example.
Let's go.
Would you say that peace and contentment is more perfect than envy?
More perfect than envy, yeah.
Would you agree with me that love is better than hate?
Yes.
Right. Would you agree with me that forgiveness is better than resentment?
Yes.
Right. So we know, and would you agree with me that the idea of perfect forgiveness means that you let go of all the accounts completely with no lingering
Without holding
bitterness.
on to anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So me and you have both been able to recognize an objective perfection.
Right.
Right. So there is.
No, but that's an attribute though.
It's a direction that our spirit moves in. Now,
But hang on, Bob. You're saying to me, because I want to be a perfect father, or I want to be a perfect host, or I want to be a perfect human being,
in a world where you've never ever experienced anything of the sort,
right, which shows that perfection is what?
it's
Unattainable.
Yes, I agree. That is exactly what the Bible says. It says that every man has sinned and fallen short of the glory of God.
Right, okay, fine.
And what is the glory of God?
I don't know.
It is His being. It is perfect. So we who are called to be in His
But
image,
that's a concept though.
we who are called to be in His image and be in His likeness, to reflect God, fail to do so. But we know it's
But
there.
Bob, it's a concept. So God is a concept of
Two
perfection.
heavyweights here, two heavyweights.
Okay,
Sarah's
so
back.
it's a,
Whoa, heavyweights,
How you
man.
doing, Uncle?
it's a concept of perfection.
Yes.
Right?
But
hang on.
Okay.
The concept, I can make a concept out of anything. I can say the spaghetti monster is perfect, right? I could say that, and but if I am not able to bring you what perfection is, or tangibly show you what perfection is and how perfection is within that spaghetti monster, then it's just me just talking.
Now, Sarah, this is where you've helped my argument.
All right, go on.
Right? This is where you help my argument. And I mean this respectfully.
No,
Because I think with me and you, it's not about ego.
No, go on.
Right. Because I've got nothing to prove, you've got nothing to prove.
No, go on.
Right? We're both experienced speakers at the corner. So, here's where you've helped my argument.
Go on.
Because if there is only the material world, and we are constructs of chaos, and we are constructs of a material world,
We're contracts of chaos.
if you don't believe that there's a guiding principle behind it, then you would say that it is by chaos that we are how we are. But let's not get down the sidetrack, let's stick
Alright,
to
go
what we're
on.
talking about.
I might come back to that one.
The
but
fact
go on.
of the matter is, if we have no reference to perfection in the natural world, no observable perfection, no
Reference.
experience
Right.
of perfection,
Right.
how is it that it is within every human heart to aspire to it?
No, but
Wait, 1 second.
That's what
Let
I'm
me
saying,
finish
bro.
my point, sorry.
It's aspiring to be better.
Aspiring to perfection.
Aspiring to be better.
Yes.
Perfection is unattainable. We don't know what that is because, like I said, it's a subjective thing. No one can say anything is perfect.
But what?
But
No.
you say God is.
Let me. What I am addressing.
It's a concept.
What I am addressing is that the human heart, for apparently no reason at all, in an atheistic worldview, aspires to something it has never experienced, that it has never seen, that it has never observed. My argument, this is where my argument is,
Right.
that the fact that that desire is in your heart and that you have been born with it, the Christian narrative, the one that has a God, makes more sense of its presence than an atheistic worldview would make sense of it. Because an atheistic worldview has nothing to explain its presence, but a Christian worldview does.
All right, but listen to this now. Hang on. So listen to this now. So I have a concept that everything that you have, you must, before you leave, you must leave it in a better condition than the way you found it.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So if you have a house, leave it in a good condition as the way you found it. If you have a child, leave that child in a better condition of maybe the way you had your childhood, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So the strive to want to get better or to do better things is human. But you're putting it down to, oh, we are doing that because of God, because we are trying to aspire to be like, oh, godlike.
I am saying that our nature is pointing towards God.
Yeah, but we don't know what that God is, though. That's what I'm saying.
Well, we
it's
do.
a concept.
We do.
We don't know.
Wait, one second.
You believe something.
Right. I've given
It's written in a book.
No, hold on 1 second.
Doesn't mean that it actually exists.
1 second. Would you agree with me that narrative that makes most sense of what we experience in reality is true?
Say again. Sorry.
That the narrative that makes the most sense of what we experience in reality is true.
True to us, yeah.
It's true.
True to us.
Are you saying that you don't believe in an objective truth?
No one's been able to find one.
No, there's plenty of evidence for objective truth.
No, there's objective facts.
And
They're objective facts. Not because everyone's got truth. Everyone here's got truth, boss.
Yes, but obviously we know that
Muslims got truth. The bloody Sikh guys got truth.
Yep.
I've got truth.
Yep.
Are we in agreement on our truth?
No.
No. So where's
we
the
need
objective
to ask.
truth?
So we need to ask.
We have to do
1
with
second.
facts, bro.
So yeah, exactly.
Facts.
Facts. That's what I'm dealing with. In the Christian faith, the Christian faith is an ontological faith. Now you know what ontological means, right?
No, go on. Explain to me.
Ontological means discourse about being. So the way that Christianity works is we say that God has a being, that we are made in the likeness of God's being, and that our raison d'etre as human beings,
A raison d'etre.
raison d'etre, the reason why we exist, why we
What language is that? Sorry.
French.
Okay, go on.
The reason for our raison d'etre.
Come on, you could pronounce a French language better than that.
I am an Englishman. I would never seek to speak in the French
Alright,
accent.
go on.
So the point of the matter is that our raison d'etre is to reflect the image of God. Now, we as Christians believe that nature is perfect.
Nature is perfect.
God's nature is perfect. And that we aspire to that perfection. Now, my evidence, one of my evidences for the Christian narrative being true vis-a-vis the atheist narrative is because I have an explanation that accurately fits the experience. We desire perfection.
Right.
The atheist, in a world where there is no God, there is nothing perfect, we've never experienced perfection and we never will, has no reason to explain why it is written into the human heart to aspire to be a perfect being.
To aspire to get better.
To be perfect.
Like I said, perfection is subjective. When you say the word perfect, we haven't found what perfection is.
No, hold on 1 second.
Perfection is, it's a fasuzi fasazi.
Let me talk about it.
What is perfection?
Okay, so we're using perfection as a general term.
Right.
But it's more properly applied in the terms of ethics to particulars. So and this is why we went through that exercise earlier, where we talked about, is it better to forgive in part or fully? And fully means holding nothing back, nothing within.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wipe the clean.
Is that perfection?
We both agree that that's perfection. Yeah? So what I'm saying to you is,
That's what I'm trying to say though, boss, right? This is the thing though. While I think it's better to forgive wholeheartedly,
Yeah.
while I think it's better to forgive wholeheartedly, some people don't.
I agree.
Right?
Some people
So that's
do
what I'm
not.
saying. To call it perfection, yeah?
Are you saying they don't or they don't believe they should?
I don't know, whatever it is. But what I'm trying to say is, if I think that's perfect, I think forgive wholeheartedly is perfect. Some people say I'm not forgiving wholeheartedly because you never know, it might happen again. So I've got to keep my eye on this. I've got to try and. Do you know, people come with their own reasons as to why they will not forgive wholeheartedly.
Bro, I am stood here as someone who has on occasion, and still does, and probably will in the future, struggles to forgive completely.
Right.
I've had an exercise in forgiveness in the last 6 months for someone who meant a lot to me and let me down and hurt me. And I'm still working through the process of forgiveness.
Fine.
But the point is, I've got a standard I'm working towards, I'm moving towards it.
Yeah.
And you don't dispute that complete forgiveness is
No, it's
better than partial.
but that's down to
Right.
That's mine. That's down
And
to
would
me,
you
though.
agree the same? That if you can forgive fully and completely without holding anything back or any account, that's better than some kind of partial forgiveness where you hold some bitterness back?
It depends on the situation, really.
Okay, so, right, but this is a relativist. Yeah.
I'd like to say something
He's an
about
atheist.
perfection.
No.
I'm not an atheist, no.
He's
Are you a Christian?
No, I'm not
Agnostic.
agnostic.
about
So-
perfection, guys.
One second.
Okay, go ahead.
So my point to you,
Yeah, go
Sharon, is that not found in the real world It is a metaphysical reality that we're aspiring
What,
to.
perfection?
Perfection.
So perfection is not of this world.
It's not a well, show me perfection.
That's what I'm trying. But this is my point, though, bro. If something is not of this world,
Correct.
it is literally what a Fasuzi Fasadi.
Because
It's
in
literally
existence-
Sorry, one second, I'm talking to Sarah. I'm talking to Sarah.
It's a concept.
Oh, come on, you
It's a
spoke to
concept.
me.
Hang
Well,
on, hang
don't
on.
be like that.
Well,
So-
hang on. It's a concept that is unobtainable. Just like, and the reason why it's unobtainable, if you call God perfection, you can't prove perfection. You have to believe you can be perfect.
Right. Would you?
Just like you have to believe that God exists.
So the evidence that I'm giving you, and I don't want to take it further than it can go.
Right.
Okay? Because I have lots of reasons for believing in God, Sarah.
Right, okay.
The
Reasons are cool. Reasons are cool.
And I've given you a good reason, one that you know is true in your heart. You aspire to something that you've never experienced, never seen, and have no reason to do so, but yet you do.
Yes.
It's written in
I
your
want to
nature.
be the best at everything
One
that
second.
I can be.
Right. 1 second. And that we agree that narrative that best explains the experiences that we have in the real world is truth.
It's truth.
It's truth. Yes, that's the very definition of truth. It is the narrative that explains the experiences in the world
Yeah, but
and makes sense
you
of it.
need to be honest and understand that everyone has their own truth, quote unquote. Everyone has their own one. And trying to find an objective one, I would challenge you to do it, because you can go around here and try and find everyone and try and find an objective truth. You won't
Do we
find
exist?
it.
Truth is perception.
That's a fact. That's not truth. We can all agree that. It's like
Right,
saying
one
it's
second,
1 plus 1,
one
2.
second,
We're
one
all
second.
going to agree. If
One
I say,
second.
oh,
Let me deal
does
with
God
that.
exist? Everyone's.
Let me deal with that.
Does God exist?
Sorry, there's a danger.
Just say no, you know what I mean?
Sorry, there's a danger that we might be using the same words and meaning two different things.
Okay.
Let's be clear. Right? We agree that we exist. That is a fact.
Fact.
So if I make a statement, a narrative, and I say, cogito ergo sum, I think therefore I am.
Okay, go on.
Yeah? Right? That narrative, right, explains reality. So it can be rightly called truth. If someone comes along and says, well, in my truth, we don't really exist and this is all an illusion,
Right.
that is a narrative that contradicts the experience of life, and thus it is false.
Right.
Now I'm saying to you that a narrative that says that there is no infinite, that there is no perfection, that there is nothing but this material world, cannot give a reasonable explanation, and therefore is false,
Well, I'm not an
of
atheist, so
our
it's not
desire to perfection. Now let me give you a reason not to believe in a materialistic world. Sorry, you said you're not an atheist.
I'm not an atheist.
What are
I'm a
you?
pantheist.
A pantheist. So you believe that everything is God?
Everything is interconnected and everything, not God in the way you.
That I think of it.
There is no anthropomorphic Godhead in pantheism.
Okay.
Everything is divine.
Everything is
It's
divine.
It's basically science. It's science encompassing philosophy. So E equals MC squared, right? Everything is energy in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Right? Everything is energy in one way, shape, or form. So if everything is energy and energy is everything, then everything is everything.
Okay.
Wait, sorry.
And
if
from-
everything is divine, then
Sorry.
the word divine.
Sarah,
But
Sarah, if you want to speak
divine
to me,
is subjective.
so sorry.
Don't be so
Divine
selfish.
subjective.
Don't
Sorry,
be so
I'm
selfish.
talking to him, bro.
Don't
Divine
be
is
so
subjective.
selfish. You spoke to me, bro.
Yeah, we'll
Come
talk
on.
later. We'll talk later. We'll talk later.
Pablo
I wanna-
wants the
come
camera.
Pavlov, I'll talk to
No,
you
he
later.
spoke to
wants
me.
a
I want to
camera
talk
time.
later.
No, come on,
Because if
come
I
on,
talk
he
to
spoke to me.
Pavlov, we'll end up going down. We'll end up going round the rose bushes.
Are you afraid?
No, not at all. I just don't. I just would. But I know with Sarah, I'll get a
Fair
more
enough, fair
precise
enough.
conversation. So, Sarah.
Yeah, I'm here.
In terms of the interconnectedness of everything, I absolutely agree with you. Everything is interconnected, and the evidence is there to support it.
Right.
100%. But the idea of saying that is divine,
No, but that's a perception now.
right?
That's a subjective perception.
Right.
100%.
But now let us come to the fact of how things got here.
Go on.
So, you would agree with me that you can't get something from nothing.
You can't get something
From
from
nothing.
nothing because there has always been something.
That is an argument. The idea of an infinite regressing universe.
There has always been something.
There's a huge problem with that.
Go on, tell me.
The problem is it contradicts the evidence.
Huh?
Yes.
What evidence?
I'll give you the evidence.
I can give you the laws of thermodynamics.
Bro, the laws of thermodynamics won't make the point that you think it is. And just for the sake of
Really,
clarity,
Bob?
yes. Just for the sake of clarity, I studied physics in my first year at university.
Okay.
Okay, so you're not speaking to an ignoramus.
That's fine. That's fine.
Right. So let me just explain what the evidence is
You tell
that
me
the
what.
universe had a beginning. First,
Hang on. Right. There's plenty. Everything has already existed in one way, shape, or form.
I'm saying the evidence contradicts you.
No, hang on. It doesn't. It doesn't.
Let's look at the evidence.
Let's look at the evidence. Fantastic.
Okay.
Go on.
So, you know about the Big Bang Theory,
Yes.
right? What you have is a basic explanation that the universe
Yeah.
was at one time and in one place within a singularity.
Yep.
Yep. And then expanded from that point.
Correct.
Okay. Now, everything that was came to be. We have no evidence of anything prior. None. There's no evidence of anything prior to this beginning. The evidence.
What? Hang on.
One
the
second.
beginning.
The beginning.
The beginning.
1 second.
The singularity.
Yes.
What was it?
Right. Well, I mean, it is the substance of all things. But the thing is,
Which goes to show that
we have
everything is
no.
everything.
1 second. We have no evidence that this is an infinite, because time and space is the same thing. So
Okay.
concepts of time break down.
But Bob, all we've known.
Do you want the evidence for that?
Hang on. All we've known is something. There's no such thing as nothing.
Yes, there is such a thing.
What is nothing?
I'll give you an example of
It's the
nothing.
absence of something.
I'll give you an
No,
example of
Bob,
nothing.
the literal definition of nothing is the absence of something.
Agreed.
If there's always been something, then nothing has ever existed.
Except that there hasn't. There's no
Nothing
evidence.
has ever existed. Like,
Allow
to
me-
say for
sorry.
the word nothing,
Sorry.
there's always been something. You said the singularity. That's something too.
Yes, that is something.
So when has there
1
ever
second.
been nothing?
I'm going to what I'm pointing out to you is that everything that we know, everything that we can conceive of, had a beginning. It had a start.
Right. See,
Yeah.
this is where you and I
1
differ,
second.
because I'm a
There's no-
scientist. Because it's transformation.
1 second.
It is not a start. It is something
You're talking about-
transforming into something else.
You cannot have infinite. You can't have infinite
Infinite
momentum.
transformation.
You can't have infinite momentum.
What does energy do, Bob?
Energy can change into matter.
Energy does one thing. It
Sorry, you're not.
transforms
Sorry,
from one form
sorry,
to another form.
You're gonna have to listen to what I'm saying to you and engage with it, rather than just.
But I am
Right,
engaging with it, because what you're saying
Let me
doesn't make
finish a
sense.
point. Let me finish a
What
point.
you're saying doesn't make sense.
Let me finish a point.
All right, go on.
Okay, go and research this.
I have.
No, you don't even know what I'm going to ask you to research.
This what you're about to say.
Thank you.
Okay.
This is what I mean. Sorry, you're just talking. You're not letting me finish my point.
All right, go on, go on.
You're a better man than that.
Go on, Bob.
You cannot have infinite momentum. That is just a law of thermodynamics. Something has to invest the energy for you to have momentum. Okay? That is a physical law. Everything stops unless there is something feeding energy into it.
Can I say something now?
No, I haven't finished my point.
All right, go on. But everything is energy.
You haven't
you're
finished
not
my
making
point.
sense.
You
But all right,
haven't
go on, go
finished
on.
my point.
Go on, go on, go on.
The expansion of the universe is movement. That movement, for it to start, and all the evidence indicates that it does have a start, yes, could not start of itself. Someone had to be the first mover. Why? Because you can't start yourself. It's physically impossible. Thermodynamically, you cannot continue. You cannot have infinite movement. You can't.
I've been quiet, can I?
Right?
I'm
So I
gonna jump in.
want you to engage
Like
with
double
my
dutch.
point about the first mover.
Okay, so hang on a minute. So this is, I had the same conversation with Ali Dawa and Muhammad Hijab one time, right? And so you've already proved my point.
Go on.
Energy has always existed, yes or no?
No, we have no evidence of it's always existing. We have evidence that contradicts that.
What evidence contradicts that?
That in black holes. Hold on 1 second.
Because if you, hang on.
1 second.
Because if
In
you
black
look,
holes, time becomes space.
no one's been in a black
In
hole.
black hole,
No one's been in a black hole.
in black holes, energy would seem to be destroyed. Everything seems to be destroyed.
Seem. No, there's no evidence. You know what I'm saying? It seems. There's no evidence. What I'm trying to say is what we do know. We're not talking about the stuff that we're speculating on. what we do know is that everything is energy, yeah? And if you believe, yeah, that God, for instance, was the creator of everything, I would now ask you, that's if you believe it, is God energy?
Okay, let me deal with that. The point that I made to you was very clear. Thermodynamically, and you can go away and research this, Sarah, I'm going to be proven right. You cannot have infinite movement.
Well, no, I'm not talking about movement, I'm talking about energy. I'm talking about energy, Bob.
Movement is a form of energy, friend.
Yes, it's a form of energy. But
So-
energy does one thing, which is transform into different forms of energy. That's what it does, Bob.
Let me finish. Movement is not infinite. Thermodynamically, it's impossible. The expansion of the universe cannot be
Are you hearing me, Bob, though?
Are you hearing me?
Are you listening to what I'm saying?
I'm hearing you, but
Okay.
you're interrupting. Let me finish my point
Go
and
on.
deal with it. There is no basis than which we can believe in an infinite universe.
Does potential energy move?
Potential energy does not move.
Okay.
But once potential
But it's still
energy...
energy, isn't it?
You're just jumping around, mate. Listen to what I'm saying and deal with it, Sarah. You cannot have infinite movement. It breaks the laws of thermodynamics. So now listen to what I'm saying.
Go on.
Listen to what I'm saying. The universe had a point from which it moved.
The singularity.
The singularity. There is no basis upon which it could start itself, nor could it do... Let me finish, Sarah. There is no basis upon which it could do itself, and there is no basis upon which it could do it infinitely, because both of those things break the laws of physics. The reality is that for that movement...
God did it.
For that movement...
That's the reality, Bob.
Let me finish,
God did it.
Sarah.
Wow. Okay.
Let me finish.
Go on.
For that movement to occur, there must have been a first mover. And that first mover must be outside of the singularity. That's my point, deal with it.
Okay. Again, so if you're explaining, or if you're saying that God was the first mover, because that's what I'm getting from.
God is all powerful, but he isn't energy in the material sense.
Okay, so I had this conversation again. So if God creates something, in the beginning there was only God, apparently.
Before the beginning, there was only God.
Before the beginning.
In the beginning, there was God in
Before
his
the
creation.
beginning, I'm going to go with your story. Before the beginning, there was only God.
Yes.
And God created everything.
Yes.
So everything is energy, yes?
Yet from a physics point of view, everything can be
right.
described
So
as
it's
energy.
God
Yes,
energy
that's
then?
right. No, God was
So
before.
okay, so how can now you have to explain, how can something that is not energy bring forth energy?
That's really easy. So, from a philosophical point of view, it's really
Go on.
easy. So you're absolutely right. We are bags of organized energy. Yeah, we receive our energy from the sun.
I shouldn't even be here this long, but go on.
We are bags of organized energy. Everything that is matter can be transferred into energy, and everything that is energy can be transferred into matter. That is our current understanding of cosmology.
They're interchangeable, yeah.
They're interchangeable. God, are you listening?
Yeah, sorry, he's shouting. Sorry, go on.
The universe is a closed system, Sarah. Yeah, it is a closed system that is working within strict laws.
Hang on. The universe is closed.
It's a closed system. Do you know what I mean by closed system?
Go on.
A closed system means that there are balances and checks and laws that work in balance with one another for the universe to work in the way that it does.
Are you telling me that there's are you telling me that there's an end to the universe?
Yes.
Where?
Absolutely
Where?
there is.
Where, Bob?
Absolutely.
Where?
there
Where's
is.
that then?
Well,
You been
firstly,
there?
let's hold on, bro. Hold on, bro. The fact of the matter
How can
is,
you make such a statement? That's crazy. To say there is an edge of the universe. So then what's outside that?
that's a good question for you to
What's
answer.
outside that?
That's a good question for you to answer.
Hang on a minute, hang on. Bob.
That is a good question for you to answer.
Bob, let me say something. Do you know what the universe is described as? It's described as...
Of course, I know what the universe
Right.
is described as. I
It's-
studied physics.
Right, so it's described as all existing matter and space, yeah?
Yes.
All existing matter and space.
Correct.
Is there space outside the universe, Bob?
The question itself. The question
Is there
itself.
space outside the universe?
Let's ask the question another way. Is the universe expanding?
That means it must just be the universe, because the universe is all space.
The question itself.
Forbidden word. I don't know.
The question itself, I would say to you, is flawed.
The question's flawed.
Yes.
Okay, if you say so, Bob.
Absolutely. We are talking about a closed system that
It can't be closed. You can't say that, Bob. You can't say that
Maybe
the
you
universe
don't
is closed.
understand what I mean by
you
closed
can't say that.
system. Maybe you don't.
No, because you said there's an extra universe and then there's an outside. But what I'm trying to say to you is the universe is literally described as all existing matter and space.
Can I-
So hang on, Bob. No. So if there is space outside the universe, that would just mean it's still the universe because universe is space. But you're telling me there's an outside of space. Where the hell is that, Bob?
Yeah, let me ask you that. Let me answer that. So coming back to the first mover, right? I'll connect your point to my first mover argument.
Go on.
Thermodynamically, we cannot have an infinitely moving universe that has just infinitely repeated a movement. That's impossible thermodynamically. It just breaks the idea of the conservation of energy. Energy loses. Energy is always lost in any movement.
Is there a beginning of energy and infinity?
Sorry?
Is there a beginning of energy and infinity?
solar wind.
That is exactly the point that I'm making.
I'm asking, is there?
There is a first mover that allows the movement of the universe. But let me the mover.
But the mover lives in a space.
Sarah, let me finish.
But it's not the space that
Sarah,
is space.
let me finish.
It's a different space. So
Sarah.
you must believe in the same 7 levels to heaven that the Muslims believe in.
let me finish my point.
It's not making any sense, Bob.
Sarah, let me finish my
Hey
point.
there, man, you good?
The fact of the matter is, Sarah, that we can speak meaningfully of an edge of the universe because there is a limited amount of the universe that we can see, and that's shrinking, by the way. Okay?
No, it's not. It's the universe does this.
Yeah,
Literally does
exactly. So the amount of universe that we can see is getting smaller because it's all
that.
moving away.
But then it will get bigger.
The universe is getting bigger. That is why the observable universe is getting smaller.
How do you observe the universe?
Hang on a minute.
Right. Let me. Go.
Spreading out of the range of our view.
Exactly.
So hang on. When it does this,
The limit.
no, but when it does that, Bob,
Sarah, let me
no, listen,
finish
listen.
one point.
Bob, when it does this, what's it expanding into?
That is the point I'm trying to make.
Into God.
Let me finish.
God's there.
Can I finish?
Go on.
So,
God's like, oh, where's get off.
Listen.
Get off. You're
oh, Sarah,
expanding
you're
into me.
better. If you're going to stop being childish characterizations, bro,
No,
you
but
need
it
to
doesn't
stop.
make sense, Bob.
Because you're not. You engage with what I'm saying.
Alright, go on.
Okay. The universe is expanding. That is a fact. The reality.
Into.
Can I finish?
Into what?
Can I finish?
Alright, go on.
Yeah, it's in the Bible. It says, I am the Lord thy creator, I have created all things, by my power alone I have stretched out the heavens. Doesn't say that movement ever stops. So that's what the Bible says. That's what the Bible says.
Is Bible
It's in
science?
Isaiah.
Is Bible science?
No, it's better than science. It's better than
It's
science.
not science, it's not history,
No,
it's not factual.
no.
Okay, look, guys, I don't agree with him, but
Let him make his point. Let him make his point.
So the universe is expanding. The limit of our observable universe is directly connected to the speed of light.
Right.
The universe is expanding at a rate faster than the speed of light, which means that those things that we can observably see are shrinking.
Right, okay. That we can see.
Yes, the
Okay.
observable universe is getting smaller
Right.
because the rate of expansion is greater than the speed of light.
Right. Okay.
Okay, now, in terms of expanding into, within our understanding of space and time, okay, we know that the universe is expanding, but the term expanding into
Yes.
breaks down
Okay.
because our understanding of space considers the entirety of the universe.
But you said there's an edge to it.
There is definitely an edge.
Right.
okay, sorry, guys, let me just ask a quick question.
Hang on.
If the universe is expanding
That what
a speed
that
superior to
universe,
light,
that
or is
edge
the
may
speed
not
of
be
light,
defined spatially. Just so you
Just quick
Hang
question.
on. Hang on.
Guys, quick question. Nothing to interrupt you. If the universe is indeed expanding at the speed of light, doesn't that mean that we shouldn't see the planets around Earth already? If all the universe is expanding at the speed of light, it means all the space is spreading at the speed of light.
I don't want to do a physics lesson.
Wouldn't see the other.
I can do a physics
Wouldn't see
lesson.
the solar system.
No. I can do a physics lesson if you want to, but that's not really what I want to speak to Sarah about.
Right.
Right?
We're talking
I
about
can
the expanded universe
I
now.
think
I'll
I understand what you
explain
mean.
it very
I think
briefly.
I understand what you mean.
In the
Yeah,
book,
You're right. If you
It's got an
what I
edge.
think you mean, you're
I
right.
have an
But
edge.
just explain it.
So in terms of, it's what we call dark energy.
Yes.
Dark
Let's
energy.
go to dark energy.
It's called dark energy. It's unobservable energy in that we cannot detect it. But what it would seem to be in the vacuum of space, there is energy connected to the distance between things.
Right.
And as they get greater, the energy that is being put into that expansion increases.
Right.
Okay? And so it has now reached a point where that expansion is actually faster than the speed of light.
Right.
Okay? So it means that the thing is moving faster than the light has time to travel to us for us to observe it.
Right.
Okay? Now,
Let's get to the
one
end.
second, just let me just...
I want to know what's going on at the end.
Okay.
Where are we observing?
Earth.
Right, and where is Earth in the universe?
In the universe.
No. In the
center.
Milky Way.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah,
So anything we're observing cannot be more than the Milky
That's what
Way.
I said.
No, we can see things much further than the Milky Way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really.
With what tools?
With telescopes, with radiography, with many things. But anyway, I don't want to get into physics. I want to come back to Sarah. I want to come back
Alright,
to
Bob,
Sarah.
this ain't going well for you, my friend.
No, it's not going well for you. It's not going well for you. Let me give you another reason why we can know that there is something beyond our created reality, beyond pantheism. I'm
Right.
going to give you a reason now
Yeah.
that we can know.
Yeah.
We know that there's something beyond pantheism.
Yeah.
It's this. You know that we use maths to describe cosmology,
Right.
right? Central
Yeah.
to all of those mathematical formulas, and used in many mathematical formulas, even basic ones, that allow us to make sense of the universe, to predict its laws and what it will do next, is the theorem of pi. You know what pi is?
Yes, it's 3.14, and it continues.
Now I'm not a mathmatician, so I don't want to set myself up for a fall. But if I remember
Too late.
if I remember correctly, it is the idea of finding the circumference of a circle. But it is predicated, get this, are you listening? It is predicated on something that doesn't exist, which is a perfect circle, an infinite circle, an infinite sphere. That's why pi goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. So in other words, central to our understanding of cosmology, as in central to our understanding of everything that exists, is using a theorem of something that doesn't exist,
Which is-
a perfection, a perfect sphere.
I already told you perfection doesn't
Perfect
exist.
circle.
But we spoke about perfection
No.
never existing anyway.
So no, my
But-
point is, within a
Bob,
pantheistic...
you've been talking for a while.
Okay.
Now. All right.
Go-
Now my question to you is, now that you've stated
I wanted to ask him, is God
unequivocally
a
that there is an edge to this universe,
Yes.
I would now ask you, what is outside that edge?
Okay. I have no grounds to say what is outside of the universe.
Okay, would God be out there?
God is everywhere, bro. So he's
So he'd be out there too?
Yes, and everywhere else.
Okay, so using our logic now, okay, let's use our logic.
Let's lose our logic.
If there is an
I like
edge,
logic.
if there is an edge to something,
Yes.
and you say that there's an outside of space,
Correct.
is there space there?
So let me address that point. Let me address the point. The boundaries of the universe may not be defined by spatiality. The boundaries of the universe may be defined by another frontier, such as an energy frontier, or such as a gravitational frontier, or a time frontier. What I'm saying is, when you start stretching to the edges of what we know,
Right?
the laws that we understand the universe to work by begin to break down.
Right.
So what I'm saying to you is the question does not make sense.
So basically you're saying, outside the universe, we have absolutely no idea what rules it's living by. It
will be in space.
It could be anything. Upside down, up could be down, down could be
But
up,
the universe,
left could be right, right
yes,
could be
but
left.
the universe is expanding.
Right, but that's what I'm trying to say. But,
and
there
that
would,
is a
but there
fact.
would still be a space
It's not
there.
in that space.
The word space is connected to three-dimensional space. Would you agree?
Yes.
Right. So when we stop operating within three-dimensional
You know
space,
the answer you got to give, Bob. Is just say I don't know.
That's
your answer,
I
Bob.
did say that. I said I don't know.
That's the game.
But no,
You
but-
just
the game
didn't
who
listen.
says I don't know first.
But you said.
I
that
said I had no
but you
reason to state
but
what is
this- but this-
outside of the
but if we go back to the point I was making before about not knowing God,
Yes.
that man creates God, not the other way around, not
Yes.
God creates man.
Yes.
Right? So what we're now doing is we're talking about an I don't know. That's what we're talking about, Bob. But you're talking about an I don't know with such vigor and such confidence, right? As if you know, but you don't know.
Hold on, bro. Hold on, bro. Go on 1 second, bro.
I don't understand that. It's like
Because
and let me juxtapose that. Muslims talk about it with confidence as well.
yeah.
The difference between you and Muslims, they will talk about something that they don't know with such confidence and kill people for it. And that's, to me, is crazy. To kill some people for something that you don't know don't make no sense to me. You're not going to kill me, I don't believe you are. But the confidence in which you talk about something that you don't know, as if you know it,
Our confidence.
it's commendable. It's
So let me-
commendable. I'm
let
not
me-
going to
let
lie
me-
to you, but
let
it's
me
commendable.
deal with this point. Because our faith inspires us to do good.
Right, okay.
So our confidence in our belief,
Sorry.
our confidence in our belief is something that has inspired us to set up hospitals and schools and to create charities,
Missionaries.
and missionaries,
And
to
help
bless
people. Yeah,
And,
that's
you
good,
know,
that's
like
good.
many of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church who went around spreading Christianity in Africa, quite on their own.
And how did they do that?
Yeah.
How did they do that, bro?
What? By
How did that
setting up
happen?
monasteries. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church spread Christianity themselves.
We're talking about colonization, but you know, we can go into that. We can go into
Yeah,
that.
but that's what he meant by missionaries, but he forgot that an African church was the first to send out
It
missionaries.
is. The African church is probably the oldest church.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. It's as old as anything found in Europe.
Yeah.
Christianity, Christianity was a European thing.
The Ethiopian Bible, does it have the New Testament?
Sorry?
Ethiopian Bible.
Yes, they have the New Testament, yes.
How, then to me, it's wishy-washy because how can Paul's writing to oldest?
Well, that's a separate topic entirely from the one I'm talking to Sarah about.
like it makes sense.
It's got nothing to do with what
Are you
we're
gonna
talking
have?
I was supposed to be here for half an hour.
I know you love talking to me, Sarah. I know you love talking to me. So here we go. In conclusion,
Let's conclude.
I'm going to recap 2 reasons why I, as a Christian, have reasonable confidence in my belief.
Reasonable confidence.
Yes, reasonable.
Hey, that's good.
That's how humans
That's good. You're
operate.
getting there, Bob. You're getting
That's
there.
how humans operate. There's
Is that
nothing
on
wrong
a
with that.
scale of 1 to 100? That's what? 75?
I wouldn't want to stick a
All
finger
right,
in it.
all right, go on.
Enough that I'm willing to die for it.
You're willing to die for it?
Very tough.
Okay.
Enough that I'm willing to fight.
You're willing to
for.
die for and I don't know.
I am willing to die for something that I am reasonably confident is true. In the same way that you are reasonably confident that your wife loves you and you built your life on it.
That's very true.
But you
Nothing's
don't know with
100%.
certainty.
That's very true. That's very true.
So people operate through reasonable certainty. And I have reasonable certainty that my beliefs are true. Why? I'm going to give you 2 reasons.
Go.
Reason number 1, I believe that the Christian belief makes the best sense of what I experience in reality.
Okay.
One evidence to that preposition is the idea that human beings aspire to a perfection. Perfection is not something that we've ever experienced in reality,
Right.
nor will we ever. But yet it is written on our hearts to aspire to perfection. Second reason, that in our understanding of the entirety of the universe, it is predicated on using a mathematical formula, pi, which itself does not exist. A perfect circle does not exist anywhere, but pi is the description of a perfect circle. So something that does not exist in reality is actually essential to our understanding of the cosmos. What does all this mean?
Right.
It means that it points to the existence of metaphysical realities that are not in the world.
Right, Bob. So hang on. That was a great speech.
Your turn.
However, you went from there to a talking snake.
Your turn.
Do you understand?
Go on.
So you can say, imagine I was to agree with you. I would like, you know what, Bob? 100%, fantastic. How do we get to a talking snake, 7-headed serpents? You know, like, how do we get there, Bob? That's a huge leap from, okay, there's a metaphysical realm to a talking snake and, you know, a flood and God walking in the garden and all that kind of stuff. Come on, Bob.
Can I reply?
Come on, go on, Bob.
Does that mean, Sarah, that you now agree there's metaphysical realities?
I believe there's things that we don't know.
No, that wasn't my
I believe
question.
there's things that we don't know.
No, my question is this.
No, I don't know what you said is factual, so I'm not going to agree with you.
I've given you 2 evidences.
No, I don't know what you said is factual, Bob.
Well, go and check them out.
Right,
Pi
okay, so I'm
definitely
not
is
gonna
the
agree with you if I don't
description
know
of
what
a
you said
perfect circle.
Right.
A perfect circle doesn't exist, and every human being aspires towards perfection, and perfection doesn't exist in this world.
No, we said perfection
Doesn't
is-
exist in this world.
Perfection is subjective because some people say Bob is perfect. Oh, he's perfect, Bob is. So he's subjective.
Wait,
Do you know what I mean?
these are casual, off-the-cuff comments.
No, but I'm saying when you say people, no, because the word perfect, Bob, and I said to you at the beginning of this conversation or during it, the word perfect, yeah, is literally, as you said, unobtainable. But people do say things are perfect. So while we may agree that perfection cannot be actually obtained, you are saying with the I don't know, it is perfect.
No, what I'm saying, Sarah,
And I
is
don't
this.
get that. That doesn't make any sense.
Sarah,
to me.
what I'm saying,
Human perfection
and then
can
I
be
want to,
obtained.
and then I want to come to your question, the one that you asked about the snakes and the serpents and the seven-headed beast.
You're going to keep me here for longer than needs to be. But
Right?
go on.
No. We can make this the last round if you want.
Yeah, last round.
So, what I am saying is that human nature aspires to something that is metaphysical, and it does so for no reason at all. If you are a pantheist or an atheist, there is no rational explanation. It is written in the heart to aspire towards something that's perfect. Perfection is something that we all recognize, in the sense of we recognize that it is perfect to forgive completely as opposed to partially. It is perfect to love in an unadulterated fashion rather than to love in an adulterated
Still
fashion.
subjective though, Bob. It's still subjective.
I am
Do you
yet to
understand
meet
that?
the person that proposes the argument that adulterated love is better than unadulterated love. I have yet to meet that person unless you would like to be that person today.
I'm not your guy.
Okay.
But I'm just saying.
So-
you don't know everyone. There's 7 billion people in this world.
Let me meet them.
Forgiveness question.
Let me, wait, let me. I've also said that in our constructs, mathematical constructs, to explain the reality of the cosmos, we use a reference to something that does not exist if you are a materialist, if you are an atheist, if you are a pantheist, which is the idea of the perfect circle in pi. That use of that mathematical formula, which is crucial to understanding everything in cosmology, indicates a metaphysical reality that is connected to this reality that you as a pantheist can't claim, because you say there is only the universe, and you as an atheist can't claim because
That's
you
all we
say
know.
there's no metaphysical reality.
Hang on, Bob.
But as a Christian, I can.
Bob. That's all we know. All we know is the universe. Okay, that's the reason why I'm working. Pantheism is working within what it knows. We don't do working within the I don't know. We're going to work within what we know. So what it's like you're making that some kind of lesser thinking to work within something that you know. It's best. Everyone does it every day. You know this, we know that. A court of law works within what it knows or what it can, the evidence that it can prove. When you work within the realms of what you know, you're going to be, okay, this is, in my opinion, okay, you can have a better conversation with someone if you're working with what you know. Okay, once you start working with what you don't know, yeah, like you have a conversation with the Muslims, right? You're both working with I don't knows, which is why you're both going crazy at one another. But the reason why you and I are not doing that, because I'm actually
Because you're not a Muslim and I'm not a Muslim. That's the reason why we're not
they're
going
crazy.
crazy.
But what I'm trying to say is, right, is that I'm working with the stuff that I know, boss. I'm not working with I don't know. You're working with I don't know. But like I said, the confidence in which you work with the I don't know is to be admired.
Okay, I want to correct
be
myself
admired,
because I made a generalization that I need to correct.
Go on.
I said because you're not a Muslim, I'm not a Muslim. Let me be more clear. It's because you're not a Muslim radical in the park and I'm not a Muslim radical in the park.
Oh, okay.
To be clear.
It's
That's
on camera.
what I
It's on
mean.
camera. Everyone played it up.
So, but what I'm saying to you, Sarah,
Yeah. We're going to conclude now.
Is-
We're supposed to have concluded already, but
What I'm saying to you is that I would suggest to you that your pantheistic understanding of the world,
of the universe.
of the universe, is not sufficient
For who?
to explain the reality of pi and to explain the reality that the human heart strives for something that in a pantheistic world doesn't exist. You now have to go away and reconcile those two things to pantheism and come back.
No, I don't.
If you can't,
I don't.
if you can't, there is an inconsistency in your belief.
All that I'm going to come back to you with is I don't know. That's all I'm going to come back to you
That's
with.
fine.
But that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not working with I don't know. You see, when you get to I don't know, Bob, this is what human beings do. Every human being can say I don't know. And if I say I don't know, that gives carte blanche to create a story.
Correct.
You can create a story now.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. I'll tell you what it was. It was a spaghetti monster, actually. It was a spaghetti monster. Well, it's this monster that's got, you know, all this. No, I'll tell you what it was. It was God. What's God? It was Yahweh. Yahweh. It was this. Oh, who was it? Allah. Allah. Because you don't know, you can create a story. See, if I could create a story right now, Bob,
You could.
on what the I don't know is.
You could.
I'd probably have a couple of people following me.
Yeah, you would.
But and I need money, so let's do this.
Yeah. And that incidentally,
I'm joking.
that's exactly how Scientology started. The guy who founded Scientology said there was
exactly how all religions start,
there was
Bob.
no quicker way to make money than to found a religion.
No, Bob, that's how all religions start.
Right, but let me no, hold on one second.
That's how all religions
Big-
start.
no,
With
one
I
second.
don't know.
Sarah.
You got a whole religion based on
You're wrong. You're wrong. The Christian faith did not start on the I don't know. The Christian faith started because Christians, the very first Christians, became convinced that their Messiah had risen from the dead.
Oh,
And you know that's a fact.
hallelujah.
You know that's a fact. They became convinced that their Messiah had risen from the dead. And that's how. So my religion,
Yeah.
as opposed to your philosophy,
Yes.
is rooted in historical events.
So you actually believe a man rose from the dead?
You know I do.
Know what I'm saying?
Anyway,
Peace,
I'll leave
Bob.
that with you. You look after yourself.
All right, look after yourself. And there you have it, family. There you have it. I'm gone. Peace, can be peace.